Thanks for checking out our video. Feel free to join our free weekly newsletter called Pop Culture Annotated, and also join our Discord server to talk with us and others that share your fandom in pop culture entertainment. Links in the description. Hey everybody, how's it going? So after watching Avengers Endgame and rewatching Avengers Infinity War, I kind of came upon 5 different what I would call missed opportunities with Avengers Endgame. Now this isn't a criticism on the movie as a whole, or really even a criticism at all. It's just a few things from Avengers Infinity War that I wish they followed up upon in Avengers Endgame, but unfortunately they didn't for whatever reason. Either they filmed it and they cut it, or maybe it just never really crossed their minds while writing the film, because I will give them credit that they balanced a lot of stuff, a lot of characters in this movie, which I can't even fathom what that might have been like in the pre-production process, not only from a logistics standpoint with scheduling actors, but just in general, like directing over 10 characters in a scene, for example, all at the same time, and just all the different things that goes into that I can't even understand because I haven't studied film in that way. With regards to what I consider missed opportunities with Avengers Endgame, going from stuff introduced in Avengers Infinity War, the first one is the history of the Infinity Stones and cosmic beings. Now the reason I say this is because even going back to Captain America the First Avenger, we were always teased that the Cosmic Cube, aka the Space Stone, and to a certain extent the other greater Infinity Stones, had some greater linkage to some cosmic beings, whether they were gods like the Asgardians, or some cosmic beings, as was hinted in Guardians of the Galaxy, where on Morag there was a mural that showed Death and the other cosmic entities seemingly around these objects representing the various Infinity Stones. And it's been hinted because of that the cosmic beings created at the dawn of the universe the Infinity Stones, or from the Big Bang the Infinity Stones were a byproduct. I mean, there's a lot of different theories there, and that's something that a lot of people were hoping would be explored in Avengers Endgame, if not Infinity War, just because for all intents and purposes outside the Doctor Strange franchise, we may never see the Infinity Stones again. This was the opportunity to really go into that. At the same time, while the MCU is about to get more cosmic, a lot of people thought that the use of the Infinity Stones in this way, a very selfish way by Thanos, that would have been the trigger to bring cosmic beings like the Celestials, or the personification of death, eternity, the living tribunal even. A lot of people thought that those beings would be featured in this movie in some capacity, ahead of Marvel receiving the property rights to the various characters like Galactus and Silver Surfer. And the writers for Infinity War and Endgame did reveal that yes, at one point the Living Tribunal was going to be introduced into Avengers Infinity War, specifically during the Battle of Titan sequence, but that ended up getting taken out. So who knows, maybe they were going to introduce more characters. I think introducing the character of Death would have been very easy to do. Just simply have Death be the Stone Keeper for the Soul Stone instead of the Red Skull. I think that just would have made honestly a lot more sense, going into my second point, which was Captain America meeting the Red Skull. Now, for whatever reason, Captain America never met the Red Skull on camera. Presumably, Captain America and Red Skull met once again because, spoiler alert, for the end of Avengers Endgame, Captain America brings back the various Infinity Stones to where they came from. The Soul Stone coming from Vormir, it makes a lot of sense that the Red Skull would have interacted with Captain America in some capacity, and that probably would have brought some interesting dialogue. And definitely that was a very missed opportunity. Cool having Hawkeye and Black Widow, and that was a great moment for the two characters. I mean, personally, I wish they used a different soundtrack instead of the same soundtrack that was played when Gamora got killed on Vormir. But regardless, just that was a very missed opportunity, I think. Seeing that interaction, not closure necessarily, but just seeing the interaction, because now that Chris Evans is presumably walking away from the role after playing it for so many years, we may never get another proper Captain America Red Skull interaction again. With the Soul Stone being in mind, I think not exploring the Soul World and Soul Stone's importance amongst the other Infinity Stones is another missed opportunity going into and leaving Avengers Endgame. And the reason I say that is because out of all the various Infinity Stones, the Soul Stone definitely had the most hype, the most build up to it. In the Prelude comic, Wong was talking about how it was very mysterious and how it potentially was the most dangerous of all the Infinity Stones, which is why it was a good thing that no one knew where it was. And to the same extent, out of all the various Infinity Stones, it was the only one to have a sentient being act as its quote-unquote keeper. And obviously it's very unique because it controls aspects of life and death, yes, for sure, but they never really touched upon that. And going off of that, an interesting part of the Soul Stone is inside of it is the Soul World, and they show that briefly, presumably the Soul World, I guess. They show it briefly when Thanos not only snaps his fingers, but of course when he first gets the Soul Stone, where they show childlike Gamora in this orange-like existence. And unfortunately in Avengers Endgame, they never really follow up on that. The characters, when they come back from being dusted, they don't really seem to acknowledge any memory of 5 years in the Soul World. For characters like Spider-Man, he pretty much says that, the last thing I remember was being dusted, and now I'm back. Definitely there's kind of a lot that they could have gone into there, especially as Doctor Strange and other characters, presumably in the future MCU movies, are going to delve more into alternate realities, the multiverse, this and that. It would have been really cool to see that peeled back just a little bit further with things like the Soul World. Going into the real world of the MCU, one thing that I thought they kind of dropped the ball on is really exploring society post-snap. They talked about a few things here and there with regards to society, but for the most part, I was really curious in seeing how is the world adapting with regards to governments, but I just thought there would be a lot more rebuilding, a lot more of an effect, so to speak, on the world and on society. It would have been cool to really explore that, considering half of all life, they said, was eliminated. So I mean, yeah, that's not really something you sneeze at. I would think 5 years later, I would think that would still be a heavy impact, and I would think that we would maybe see something like the world governments unite to take on a common purpose, that being Thanos, or the world governments uniting maybe because half the population was eliminated, and if everyone doesn't unite, maybe another alien race will come by and conquer the earth. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of different things that could have been played out here. Obviously the later parts are kind of more extreme, but just in general, I thought a missed opportunity was really exploring society post-decimation, post-snap, outside of that brief 20-minute conversation in the beginning of the film where Captain America is kind of doing the support group. And the last but not least one that really came to mind was the merging of Bruce Banner and Hulk. And the reason I say that is because they really built it up, and they could have had a lot of interesting opportunities in Avengers Endgame to showcase the merging of Bruce Banner and Hulk. The first one in my mind being when Bruce Banner was meeting with the Ancient One. And the reason I say that is because when the Ancient One did her soul separation technique that she did in Doctor Strange, Bruce Banner was the only entity to come out of that. The Hulk's body was right there, but the Hulk as a different soul, as a different personality, with residing in the Hulk's body, was not there, which seemingly confirmed to me that the whole time it was always just Bruce Banner really inside there, and the Hulk was always literally just a different personality of Bruce Banner instead of two separate beings. It would have been really cool to have the Ancient One maybe reconcile and merge the two personalities, merge the two beings into one merged Hulk. That would have been cool. At the same time, it would have been cool just to get more exposition of what really happened, because a huge part of Avengers Infinity War was the relationship between Bruce Banner and the Hulk being skewed. And just to get a sentence worth of dialogue basically with them saying, yeah, I spent some time in the Gamma Lab and voila, it just felt a little rushed. I mean, it would have been nice to, instead of getting a scene of him taking a selfie with people, maybe instead of that, getting a more detailed explanation on what the Hulk actually did. It would have been really cool to see some payoff from the events of Infinity War where Hulk wasn't coming out and Bruce Banner had to deal with that. At the same time, obviously, we missed out on getting a proper rematch of merged Hulk versus Thanos, but I'm really willing to put that aside, and that's really it for me on regards to missed opportunities. Comment below your guys' thoughts on what you guys thought were some missed opportunities. I'm sure people are going to have some regarding Thor in particular, or the Hulk. I don't want this to come off as nitpicky, it's just some things that came to mind after rewatching Infinity War and really thinking about Endgame with regards to things that I was hoping Endgame would address from Infinity War. But comment below your guys' thoughts, what do you guys think, and we'll see you guys later.